Have you ever seen a light bulb that is still glowing, then suddenly flickers, unsteady, as if sensing something is not quite right? No sound, no warning, just a few soft flickers, as if it is hesitating. Should it keep shining, or go completely dark? And then, click. Everything fades into darkness. Silent. Empty. No way back. That is not a power outage. That is how your brain shuts down, when blood can no longer arrive in time to keep it alive. The brain, the organ that controls every part of your existence. It is not as large as your heart, not as heavy as your liver, not as bright as your eyes, but it holds your every word, every memory, every dream. It carries every tear you have cried, every laugh that made your belly ache, and every moment your heart broke. And with just a tiny clot no bigger than a grain of rice, just 3 minutes without oxygen, all of those functions can shut off, like that flickering light bulb. You can no longer move your hand. Your mouth cannot form words. Your eyes are open, but your mind is foggy. You still hear your child calling out to you, but you cannot respond. You are still conscious, but there is nothing you can do, except lie still. This is not simply falling asleep. It is literally being disconnected from life itself. And what is the most terrifying part? This storm is striking somewhere in the world, every 6 seconds. It does not care if you are old or young. It does not need a warning sign. And you could be next, if you do not understand it, starting right now. Welcome to today's video, where we will explore together stroke, the silent neurological storm that strikes like lightning and is extremely dangerous. But here is the good news. It can be prevented if you know how. A stroke, also known as a cerebrovascular accident, occurs when a blood vessel supplying the brain becomes blocked or bursts, cutting off oxygen and nutrients to a part of the brain. Within just minutes, brain cells begin to die. This is a medical emergency of the highest urgency, because the brain cannot regenerate. Once damage occurs during a stroke, it is permanent. Types of stroke you should know. Strokes are commonly classified into 3 main types. 1. Ischemic stroke accounts for over 80% of all cases. Cause: a blood clot or a fatty plaque blocks the flow of blood to a specific part of the brain. It often happens silently, and by the time symptoms appear, it may already be too late. 2. Hemorrhagic stroke, less common, but far more deadly. Cause: a blood vessel inside the brain bursts, usually due to dangerously high blood pressure or a ruptured aneurysm. The leaking blood compresses surrounding brain tissue, causing severe damage and a high risk of death. 3. Transient ischemic attack, TIA, also known as a mini-stroke. The symptoms mimic a full stroke, but last only a few minutes to a few hours and resolve on their own. Critical warning: 1 out of 3 people who experience a TIA will go on to have a full stroke within 1 year if left untreated. What happens in the brain when a stroke strikes? Suggested visual: blood flow to brain tissue stops. Affected area darkens. Cells begin to die. When blood flow is blocked or cut off, brain cells in that area are deprived of oxygen and essential nutrients. Within 3 to 5 minutes, those cells begin to die, and they do not recover. Whatever functions that area of the brain controlled, whether it is speech, movement, memory, or balance, are lost along with it. Serious complications and long-term consequences. Stroke is the leading cause of permanent disability if it does not result in sudden death. Common complications include paralysis on one side of the body, loss of speech, swallowing, or memory, cognitive decline and behavioral changes, post-stroke depression, increased risk of another stroke in the future. Some hard facts. According to the World Health Organization, more than 15 million people suffer a stroke each year. Of those, around 5 million die, and another 5 million are left permanently disabled. What happens in the brain when a stroke begins? 1. The brain, the most oxygen-sensitive organ in the body. The brain accounts for only about 2% of your body's weight, but it consumes 20 to 25% of the oxygen and blood flow every single minute. Every single neuron acts like a micro-control center, processing thousands of signals, from movement and language to emotions, memory, and consciousness. The problem is, brain cells do not store oxygen or glucose, which means just a few minutes without blood flow and brain cells begin to die. And once they die, they cannot come back. 2. When a stroke strikes, blood flow is suddenly cut off. A stroke usually occurs in one of two main ways. Type A, ischemic stroke. A blood clot or fatty plaque blocks a brain artery. Blood cannot reach a specific area of the brain. Type B, hemorrhagic stroke. A blood vessel in the brain bursts. Blood leaks into brain tissue. Pressure builds up, compresses surrounding cells, and causes swelling and cell death. 3. What happens inside your brain in the very first milliseconds? Minute 0 to 1. Blood flow stops. Brain cells are instantly deprived of oxygen, ischemia. The brain triggers a danger alert. Symptoms may include dizziness, blurred vision, weak limbs, or slurred speech. Minutes 2 to 5. Neurons begin to die in large numbers. The brain cannot produce energy, ATP. Cells lose their ability to send signals. If the affected area is the motor cortex, instant paralysis. If it hits the language center, loss of speech or comprehension. Research shows every minute without emergency treatment, nearly 1.9 million brain cells die. That means about 120 million neurons are destroyed every hour without blood flow. After 10 to 15 minutes, the oxygen-starved brain tissue begins to swell. Nearby cells also begin to die due to spreading damage, a process known as cell death cascade. 4. The penumbra zone, the brain's last hope if help arrives fast enough. When a stroke begins, not all brain tissue dies instantly. There is an area known as the penumbra, the half-dead, half-alive zone around the stroke core. Cells here are extremely weak but not fully dead because they are starved of oxygen. If emergency care is given within the golden window of 3 to 4.5 hours, this area can still be saved. If not, the entire penumbra may die, leading to permanent disability or death. 5. Brain functions shut down depending on the area of damage. Each part of the brain controls a specific function. When a stroke affects one region, that function is lost. Damaged area. Common consequence. Motor cortex paralysis on one side, face, arm, leg. Broca's area. Language. Inability to speak or understand language. Frontal lobe changes in behavior and emotions. Cerebellum. Loss of balance, unsteady walking. Brainstem. High risk of death. Controls breathing and heart rate. 6. The whole body reacts. Chaos and loss of control. Blood vessels expand in a desperate attempt to supply more oxygen. Heart rhythm becomes irregular, blood pressure spikes. The body enters a survival emergency mode, but without medical help, it cannot fight back on its own. 7. After the stroke, what damage becomes permanent? If medical help comes too late, the patient may survive, but face memory loss, paralysis on one side, loss of speech, depression, emotional instability. Every function once controlled by the brain must be relearned, but it will never return to 100%. The causes of stroke and foods that can trigger disaster. Let us begin with this. How a stroke works. What is really happening in your brain? A stroke occurs when blood flow to the brain is interrupted. It can be caused by a blocked artery, ischemic stroke, or a ruptured blood vessel, hemorrhagic stroke. When oxygen is cut off, brain cells begin to die within just 3 to 5 minutes. Here are 5 common causes that can trigger a sudden stroke. 1. Uncontrolled high blood pressure. This is the #1 cause. A rapid spike in blood pressure can rupture a brain vessel. It can strike during sleep or right after a burst of anger. 2. Blocked arteries from plaque or blood clots. Often found in people with high cholesterol, diabetes, or sedentary lifestyles. A blocked vessel means part of your brain is completely cut off. 3. Chronic stress, activating a neurological time bomb. Rising cortisol, increased heart rate, blood vessels constrict suddenly, higher risk of rupture. 4. Alcohol, smoking, and staying up too late. These weaken vessel walls and increase fragility of brain arteries. Younger people are not immune. These habits raise stroke risk drastically. 5. Sitting too long, lack of physical movement, leads to blood pooling and formation of small clots. Those clots can travel to the brain at any moment. And most importantly, here are the foods that can trigger a stroke faster than you think. 1. Processed meats, sausages, bacon, smoked or cured meats. High in sodium and preservatives like nitrites raise blood pressure and promote plaque buildup. Nitrites can cause sudden vessel spasms, drastically raising stroke risk, especially in people with hypertension. 2. Fast food and fried foods, fried chicken, French fries, hamburgers, loaded with saturated fat and trans fat, increase blood lipids and bad cholesterol, LDL. Raise the chance of artery blockage, especially dangerous when eaten at night or late in the evening. 3. Overly salty dishes, pickled vegetables, dried fish, instant noodles, soy sauce. Salt causes fluid retention and increases pressure on artery walls. People who consume high-sodium diets are twice as likely to suffer a stroke compared to low-sodium eaters. 4. Sugary drinks, soda, bubble tea, sweetened beverages. Raise blood sugar, increase fat levels, and lead to rapid weight gain. The body reacts by overproducing insulin, which over time damages the blood vessels. 5. Industrial pastries, ice cream, and packaged snacks. High in trans fats and refined sugars. Reduce vessel elasticity, increase inflammation, and promote clot formation. A dangerous combo. When food meets lifestyle choices, it becomes a recipe for disaster. Picture your own routine. At night, eating instant noodles, sausages, and soda. Then, staying up late gaming until 2 a.m. Sleeping in a sealed room, barely moving, not drinking enough water. Blood pressure rises, vessels tighten, blood thickens, clots form, Stroke is triggered by these exact habits. People often do not care about their brain until it stops working. My brother, 39 years old, used to be someone who never knew the meaning of exhaustion. A sales director, he spoke like a machine gun, walked like he was always chasing time. 3 cups of coffee a day, meetings late into the night, meals behind the wheel, and sleep. Only when his body forced him to shut down. One Monday morning, as he was getting ready to leave for a client meeting, he suddenly went silent. His face twisted to one side. His hand dropped the briefcase. His mouth tried to say something, but no words came out. That was when we knew. He had suffered a stroke. Thankfully, he was rushed to the hospital within 30 minutes. But the man who once mastered every conversation now had to relearn how to speak, word by word. The right hand that had shaken hands with hundreds of clients could no longer hold a glass of water. From that moment, I understood something deeply. Racing towards success without rest is also the fastest way to fall off a cliff. Not every accident gives you a second chance. With a stroke, being just a few minutes late can mean forever. So how do you avoid that life-changing moment? These are not lessons from a book. They are from a family who nearly lost someone. 1. Check your blood pressure at least twice a month, even if you feel fine. Strokes rarely give any warning. High blood pressure is the leading cause, but it does not always show symptoms. Do not let "I feel normal" be the reason you skip health checks. 2. Cut back on salt, greasy foods, and processed meals. Every packet of instant noodles, every slice of sausage, every night you skip cooking adds a little more fat into your blood vessels. Eat vegetables, fruits, fish, and nuts. Not because it's trendy to eat clean, but because your brain needs clean oxygen to survive. 3. Move your body gently every day. Even 20 minutes can save your brain. Take a morning walk. Practice deep breathing. Stretch after every hour of work. When blood flows well, your brain stays clearer. When you breathe evenly, your nervous system stays calm. 4. Sleep before 11 p.m. because your brain needs time to repair itself. Do not bring your laptop to bed. Do not work past 1 a.m. Do not spend your youth staying up late, only to spend the rest of your life paying the price. 5. Learn to let go of things you do not need to control. Deadlines can be pushed. Messages can wait. Someone being upset with you does not mean you need to lose sleep and blame yourself all night. Your nervous system has limits. Other people's emotions are not worth the cost of a stroke. Finally, do not wait until you lose the ability to move, speak, or think clearly before you start caring about your brain. The brain does not scream when it is in pain. It stays silent, and then it stops. And when that happens, all the success, relationships, and future plans become memories you can no longer reach. If you are still watching this video, close your eyes for 10 seconds. Feel each pulse in your head and understand this. It is the most precious thing you have.